Welcome, everybody. It's always exciting. Thank you all for being part of our community. As always, welcome to the Lions Den. Let us go, folks. It's always exciting. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, everybody. This is going to be one of those exciting sessions, as always. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, everybody. Let's give everybody else a minute and we will get started straight to the point. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for joining. It's a great way to start our week, really, guys. Let's go, ladies. All right, let's go. And if you don't mind, just ping everybody and tell them we are live. Let's tell them we are live right now. Let's everybody know we are live and let's get it going. Let's get it going. We are live. Just ping everybody and let them know, hey, guys, we are live. Let's just quickly, one person at a time. Let's see how we can help more of our folks to get those offers. Let's get those offers. That's the goal, really, folks. Let us get those offers. That's what we want to do. Get those offers. Ping other folks. Tell them we are live. Let them know. Let them know we are live. We are live. Thank you all. We'll kick off in the next 30 seconds. Thank you, everybody. We are live. We are live. Let everybody know we are live. All right. Cool. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. And for those of you that are asking for information about our pages and all that stuff, I'll just post it so you can have access to it also. Just you would have access to the information. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for taking the time to hang out with us on a Monday midday. So there are many things you can be doing. You can be doing your lunch, enjoying a margarita somewhere in the corner, but you chose to be with us. So thank you, everybody. So today we have three of our mentors that are going to be taking interviews, and they have some interview coming up. As a matter of fact, one of them have an interview in the next 1 hour. So we're going to start with that. So the goal here, we all know, is simple. We just want to make sure we can position our team to be more successful on those interviews. So let's rules of engagement. We would be very strict. We are very conservative. So don't take it personal when we give you 4, 5 over 10. The reason is simple. It will give you time to boost yourself, push it a little bit to the limit to get to 7 or 8. The max we ever had in our program is 6/10. So don't feel bad at all. So it's not uncommon to get 4 or 5. So don't take it personal. It's just a way to force you to know that you need to put more substance, more meat into it to be successful. Okay. All right. Without further ado, so that we can have our go shine immediately, let's bring Tomi on board. Thank you, Tomi. Welcome on board.
Thank you. Thank you
All
for
right,
having
you ready for the Lions Den? Ready for the Lions Den?
me.
Okay, excellent. All right, so here's the drill. I'll go through the specific role with you. Then, after we go through the role, I'll start asking you specific questions based on what I think. And please, everybody on the call, do me a favor. If there are questions you think I should ask her, also post it so that I can ask her. Don't worry, nobody's going to say all the details. Just ask me questions, and later I will ask you guys give feedback, and we can give her the feedback so that she can use it to go get that offer. So let's go and help ourselves as a team, okay? All right, so this is the role. It's a senior technology compliance analyst role, and it's a medical environment. So the role is going to require you reviewing their regulation, privacy issues. You're going to do risk assessment of their third party process, which is one of the assignments we did in our project, right? We're going to do some potential managing of their or reviewing their inventory, really, their data inventory, how their data is classified, and their actual asset inventory potentially also. Then you check how their critical programs are being positioned. For example, if they have a program that helps them to filter PHI, personal health information within the healthcare system, I'll consider that critical, right? How are they structuring the process of reviewing that particular asset, right? That would be something I would want to know about. Then in that case, they talk about SOC 2 report, PCI, payment card industry, IPA for healthcare. I Trust is another framework out there, organization that they, attest people to make sure they are in compliance too. And then the other thing is talking about qualification for different assets, in this case, technology tools. And they mentioned the likes of Jira, Asana. So, Jira, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, sis, or Asana. Most of these tools are project management tools. Most of us have used Jira. Don't overthink it, it's not a big deal. Jira mostly is used to track specific projects. So, in the world of Agile, user stories, sometimes requirement gathering, sometimes they use it to track issues within your business. You can use Jira to do many things also. It can also be a document management tool. So they have Confluence, so you can use it to manage documents, drawings, flow charts. You can customize it to your organization the way you want to. So it's not a big deal. All right, so that's the gist about that role. So, what's my take in terms of tell me about yourself in general, based on your resume? You should tell them you have over 3 years experience and talk about your qualification in terms of doing review around PCI, EPA, potentially SOC 2 also. Then I added some notable projects we can sneak in there. Definitely, based on the work we did in the program, the risk assessment for the cloud solution provider, I would definitely use it personally. I think that's a good one. So use that one, talk about it with conviction, talk about the assessment you did, and the way you kind of came to your conclusion. So be very strong on that for sure. Then the other one talks about automation of tools. Now it doesn't mean you're the one doing the automation itself, but you're part of a project that help with automation to reduce compliance man hour. A good example would be in the past, historically, people would be doing compliance training, right? You tell people to go do a training. They did not have a LMS that tracks who did what. They just fill a form that they've done a training in the past. But now automation simply means we automated the process. Once the training is completed, it triggers a workflow to your HR that the training is done. So it makes it easy, very easy, straight to the point. So I can use that as an example of a workflow we built to make sure we are in compliance, and you automated the manual process that will take probably, almost additional 0.8% hours of the employee to 0 hours, because now once they are done, the compliance information is automated and we get the information straight up. So which is great. Okay, so that's what I kind of came up with in general. And of course, remember, we have a lot of documents you can use, whichever one you're comfortable with. Why? The other thing is that we have to have questions, right? So we would agree on that. So at the minimum, tell me, give me insight into their challenges in terms of compliance in the medical field, right? And how would they expect you to address it? What is the expectation? So you're kind of priming them to say, okay, listen, I understand the issues. What are the expectations for me in this role to help to fix the issues? The second thing is that in this case, I think there was a partnership within them and Amazon. You could ask and say, what is the significance of that relationship? How much of a strategic partners are they with you guys? Is it just the cloud solution they're providing services for you guys? Are they doing any additional projects with you as an organization? So the idea is that most of these companies, the truth is that they also do other projects beside cloud, right? They could have other projects that are working with you guys. It might be automation of your e-commerce, automation of your PCI, whatever it is. You just want to know if there are additional things I need to know outside of the basic cloud platform that you guys are providing us as an organization. Okay. So that is the high level. Now I know you got to go in the next 1 hour. So I want to make sure I'm mindful of that. Okay. But that's something you should prepare your mind for. Now let's jump into the grrr. All right. It's gonna be your show now. It's gonna be your show. So the goal, as always, remember again, we're just gonna be a little bit brutal, get into the details with you. I want to know what you've done. Tell me the project you've worked on, so get into that details. Your show now. All right. So I saw your resume online and I think you might be a fit for one of our role. Can you walk us through your experience and what you've done in general?
Of course. Thank you for having me today. I'm an
Sure.
IT. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes. Thank you for having me today. I'm an IT and cybersecurity risk and compliance analyst with several years of experience conducting comprehensive risk assessments, vulnerability management, implementing control frameworks, and ensuring regulatory compliance. My career in compliance started out with my first role at um, Direct Urgent Care, now referred to as Carbon Health in San Francisco. There, I was supporting medical professionals with data privacy to do with health information. That was actually a role where I was facing the clients. So I was also assisting patients, and ensuring that I was protecting their data as I assisted them. After I finished that role, I then moved to the Northeast, where I found myself at BNP Paribas, a bank, and I actually focused more on risk there to do with individuals. So that was doing anti-money laundering and reviews of individuals and companies to kind of see if they pose a risk to the bank and the risk appetite of the banks the bank I worked with.
Okay.
Within that role, I transitioned to dealing with the technology compliance. So I started doing risk assessments and assisted the cybersecurity risk team to ensure that they were compliant with regulations and, you know, assisting them with conducting reviews of their vendors.
Okay.
After that,
What regulations were you required to be in compliance with?
of course, so since BNP Paribas is an international banking financial institution,
Yeah.
GDPR is one of the regulations I was um, required to be in compliance with, as well as FFIC. Those were
Okay.
two. Yes. So after that role, I transitioned to Guidehouse, where I worked as a third party risk analyst for a few years. In that role, I was conducting vendor reviews, um, basically just ensuring that the vendors were, not posing a risk to the organization and reviewing contracts and conducting risk assessments to identify gaps within their controls, meeting with the vendors personnel and providing feedback to my manager, senior leadership, and just liaising with the different departments, including legal, the IT department, information security, and providing feedback to them. So that
Okay.
was a role that
Okay. What are some of the gaps you found from a vendor, review point of view? Can you share some of the, some of the historic gaps you found with your vendor, and how did you guys resolve it?
of course, yeah. So one project that was assigned to me was dealing with a cloud service provider. So at that time, I was tasked with the responsibility of ensuring vendor security. So basically, I had to do a vendor security assurance and compliance review for this vendor, and so this involved reviewing the vendor's contracts and understanding the security commitments and that they made, and then ensuring that those commitments were in line with industry standards and the security requirements of my organization.
Okay.
So after this, oh, okay,
Please go ahead, please.
yes. So after this, I also came up with a detailed assessment plan in which I provided questionnaire assessments, interviews, and security reviews. I also identified key points of contact within the organization to establish clear communication channels with. After that, I then did the execution of the assessments. So that involves sending questionnaires out that basically would ask about the controls that they have and their overall security posture.
Okay.
I also scheduled interviews with vendor personnel just to ensure that to ask questions about their security framework and the controls they had in place. And then I also do uh, you know did the security reviews on the infrastructure and processes. Um,
Okay, walk me through a little bit about the security review around the infrastructure process. And one of my colleagues just asked the question about IPA risk assessment review, which I think you've covered a little bit. But tell me a little bit about the security review assessment you did, and within your infrastructure. Give me an insight into that.
Of course. So, this task that I was given was related to a cloud vendor. So, basically, I had to look at the cloud infrastructure. Specifically, it was Azure um,
Okay.
cloud platform. So, I had to review their infrastructure, the cloud Azure infrastructure, to see, to ensure that they have certain controls in place, to do with asset management, access controls, as well as just, seeing if there's any gaps within these various levels of controls. Also, just providing feedback related to the uh, process.
Got it.
Yes.
With that review, did you see any critical gaps that you would like to share or potential issues?
Of course, yeah. So one of the gaps that I noticed was they didn't have strong password policies. The passwords were very short and they were not complex enough to provide
Okay,
like an adequate level, yeah, of
got it.
protection. Yes.
Can you walk me through a remediation project you've worked with in the past? Because within our environment, that's going to be one of the things we need someone to self-start for us. We have quite a number of issues we would like to have remediated. Can you walk me through some remediation process you've done in the past?
Of course. So yeah, one of the process projects I've done in the past actually involved a medical organization. So it had to do with HIPAA compliance.
Okay,
I found out that the patient information was not as secure as it should be after conducting some risk assessments. So in that case, we kind of did a remediation process, which involved, after identifying the gaps that existed,
yeah,
and basically that involved, addressing these privacy concerns, coming up with a assessment to do with privacy impact assessment actually. So
got it.
that has the various stages in which I was able to assist with. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to pause. Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, I do. So one of
Yeah.
my questions I have is, I'm just curious as to what issues and compliance issues and challenges is the organization currently experiencing, and what would I be expected? How would I be expected to support those efforts?
Thank you so much. And I'm glad you said that. One of the immediate need we have right now is when we do an assessment, we found out that one of the solutions that process PHI records does not have the ability to enable audit log. So that's a big deal. Yes, it's a legacy old system, but it's still a compliance issue for us. So we're currently working on that right now. Encryption is also a big one for us to make sure that the right encryptions are in place before data is sent. So that is it. Any other question?
Yes, the last question I have is I did notice that your organization was recently acquired by Amazon. So I was just
Okay.
curious as to the nature of this relationship. I know Amazon, of course, provides
Yeah.
cloud services. So I'm curious
Right.
if it's just cloud services that they're providing, or if there's other aspects that I should keep in mind.
Yeah. Good question. So Amazons are also partners in terms of integrating with our e-commerce. So yes, we use their cloud platform, but they also help us to manage our e-commerce platform really at the moment. So the partnership is very mutual right now, and as you can tell, the acquisition has really made us to align with the culture of Amazon also.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for answering my questions. It's
All right,
helpful.
excellent. Okay, I know you got to jump because you have your interview in the next 1 hour. So, let quick feedback. I'll just read. Folks, give me feedback you have so that I can share. One of the ones I can see in the comments, of course, excellent job for is that surviving the lions. Den. We need you to look at the camera as much as you can so that it doesn't perceive like you're looking at something. Okay, so find a way to kind of just align yourself as much as you can. And folks, just type your questions, your comments, so I can provide it for her also. On my own side, we need to reduce the I understand we all do it, but be very a little bit intentional about it so that it's not going to be very obvious, right? Good feedback is you have a calm demeanor, so you look like someone that um perception of a calm leader, right? So you're calm. You're straight to the point, which I personally like. Now, what I need you to add is be ready for three solid projects. The cloud service provider project, you need to get that ready for for sure as part of your project because it aligns with what they are looking for sure. Risk assessment, you need to have it lined ready just to talk about it because they can relate with it. Remediation project in terms of fixing issues that you identified and helping to reduce all of the overall issue within your threat landscape by, let's say, 8% within 6 months. Make sure you had that too because that really showcases you, right? So I think you do an amazing job. So I don't want to waste your time because you got to jump for the interview in the next 30 minutes or so. So, any other comments? Okay, somebody said remediation very important. Thank you. So we can give her the comments so she can jump and go prepare. All right. So overall, let me just give you my overall. Don't leave without us giving you what we think. Let's see, and don't take it personal as always, right? So let's see what we gave you this time. All right. So my overall total points, I think it's fair to say let's give you 4. All right. Now remember when you're in the Lions Den, if you get 4, feel good. Don't feel bad. All right. So we just want you to push it a little bit to the limit so that you can just go kill it. Bring an offer back so that we can smile together. All right. Thank you, Tommy. Let's give
Okay,
it up
thank
for
you.
her once time. And go make us proud and let me release you so you can go prepare. Good luck.
All right, thank you,
Ping me
sir.
once you're done, okay? All right.
All right,
Good
sir.
luck. All right. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you. We can excuse Tommy. Now let's jump to Obi in the house. Let's give it up for Obi. How are you, brother? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, excellent. Thank you, brother. Thanks for joining. Okay, so you are the next person in our Lions Den. All right, let's see what Obi's gonna do.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. I like you, man. Your
Good.
confidence is infectious. Let's go, brother. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, so let's see. This is you are in the second place. Let's go back here. Okay. All right, let's see. Oh,
I think I'm already at the bottom.
okay,
No.
got it. Okay. All right, Obi. I mean, man, I'll start by giving you a round of applause, even before you started, because ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you why I gave him a round of applause. I am mad at you, brother. When I saw him applying for a manager role, I said, "Oh my God, this guy's out of his damn mind." But you know what? Hey, I am mad at him. Let's give him a round of round of applause. So, man, we don't shortchange our team here. At the minimum, we do the interview. All right. Typically, I try to avoid my folks from jumping to manager role. But you know what? If they called you for a manager role and you believe you're a manager, then who am I to say no? Let's go. Let's push it first. Then, and as always, just have fun with it. Okay. But let me talk about the role itself. So typically, when you get to management in terms of any of these roles, expectation changes a little bit, and you're going to provide oversight to your team. You're going to make sure you're also presenting documentation to your leadership. I'll tell you one thing for sure, though. Anyone that believes they can do it, gone are the days you'll be worried, to be honest. AI tools, ChatGPT, and the likes have made it extremely easier to function and still be effective. If you believe you can do it, it's not a big deal, to be honest. All of us on this call, I can tell you this. I know it might sound crazy. I don't know if you guys remember some years back, the president of North Korea suddenly died. The son was 28 years old and he just left school and he became a leader of a nation of 55 million people, nuclear arsenal. He became the overall leader. So sometimes life can trust us with things so it's not a big deal. It's a mind thing. So I have no problem with that. If your mind is with it, I'm going to support it. All right. So, but it's going to be a leadership role because I looked at it. This is a leadership role. Okay, so it means, in the terms of it being a leadership role, you would put more work naturally, right? When I saw it, I said, I'm not going to discourage this gentleman. I'm going to still push. We're still going to, give it a try. At the minimum, you get to learn some new craft and skill to interview and do better. So that's not a big deal. So now, because it's leadership role, you're going to be reporting to most likely directors, VPs, or potentially at times even speaking with the board on certain topics. Not a big deal either way, right? In this case, they want someone to have a little bit of security architecture role, meaning you would have to be able to talk about designing of the security itself, meaning like and honestly, if you understand this framework, your mind can wire towards or ISO 27001, you can wire it towards understanding the different threat landscape and how the architecture at the minimum should look like. And the beautiful thing is that there are so many reference architecture out there. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're on the call, when you hear the architecture, don't overthink it. It's just like the flow of what things should look like in terms of the placement. An example, if you install a network in your house, it's fair to say within my architecture process, there is encryption, right? It's fair to say there should be a authentication and login process. You shouldn't just have it plain, right? That's the architecture, the way it flows and the way the security is. It's like being an architect, right? Before you build a house, it's okay, well, we should have bathroom here, we should have, the kitchen here, the sink here, just the flow of how you design it. So don't overthink it, not a big deal. All right. So that's really what the role is about. I'll be brutal with you because I'll be, it's a manager role. So I'll be so much, I'll chew you a lot, which is fine. All right. So be ready for that. So, naturally with the introduction, talk about yourself, overview of what you've done. Don't get into the tactical area with me a lot because yes, I expect you to have done that in your whole world. I want you to talk about your role in terms of understanding the risk and the threat landscape, understanding the security architecture, understanding think like a CISO, understanding the vulnerabilities identified, how you were involved in helping with designing of the risk assessment questionnaires, building policies and procedures, designing the architecture to reduce security incidents over the last couple of months that you resumed the role. And some of the security architectural design might be when you resume, there was no defined incident response process, or you could say you had a third party that was doing your incident response, but you realized there were so many gaps. They didn't have a well-defined communication channel. They did not have actual tools to identify incident to fit to them. They did not have a service desk or a login system to track incident. Those are things that are gaps immediately if you talk to me, right? The other thing is that you can, there's another project here. You can just highlight some key projects that you've done that will make me feel comfortable with you in that role. Okay, so do you have questions for me? I expect you to talk about questions around specific technology challenges the organization is facing. I would expect you to talk about the evolving threat landscape, emerging technology within that space of the organization, because it's a leadership role, right? So your mindset is thinking on the technology threat landscape. You need to tell them things like, what is that? Do you guys have a strategy towards the threat landscape around AI versus IoT, which is a big one right now, or 5G? What's our adaptive method or strategy to make sure that the risk around this emerging technology are mitigated early? So you have to say things like that to make me comfortable that, okay, this person is thinking, it's a strategy role. So your mind must be thinking of, okay, how do we get us ready when this happens? For example, there's a new framework for by NIST for AI, AI model to eliminate biases. So it's a big one right there. If you say that to me, I will know that, oh, this person is really proactive, And if I ask you, how do you keep yourself abreast of technology and trend? You need to tell me you read a lot of articles, you go to conferences. Those are the things that makes you stand out. All right. So that's my cheat sheet. Now, welcome and ready to jump on your show. All right. So thank you, Obi, for jumping online. We saw your resume. We think you might be a fit for one of our role. We are looking for a manager of information security right now within our cyberspace. We need someone that is a self-starter that would help us to understand the threat landscape, design the security architecture, help us potentially also to develop business development documentation for prospective clients, work with multiple stakeholders to identify issues and risk within our environment, work with different technical teams in terms of the different infrastructure that is constantly moving within the environment and understanding the risk of each one of those integration projects going on right now. So walk me through some projects, some experiences you have to help us to be successful as an organization.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Well, my name is Obi Ugo. I'm with currently with GM Financial as an information security analyst. I've had close to 7+ years in the industry, well versed in the information security environment, cybersecurity, and risk management. If you don't mind, I'd like to go through the various roles I've had in the past of my experience.
Absolutely. Please go
Yeah.
ahead.
So I've worked with some organizations like UT Southwestern. I've also worked with the what's it called? They call them the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. I was there as a risk assessment analyst, and in that position, pretty much was in charge for the risk management assessment and proactively mitigating setting risks with vendors within the 50% level. Also manage vendors' lifestyle as well, reducing onboarding, time by 20%. And after that, I had an opportunity to move to the Southwestern Hospital in Dallas as a cybersecurity engineer. And in that role, I was proactively monitoring security events in the hospital, and responding in the time of 25% actively, resolving issues as well. I met with the stakeholders in the hospital just to have an overview based on what the security and assessment is, and that made me had to write a documentation to reduce every form of risks that the hospital might or threats the hospital might be facing in their cybersecurity department. I was proactively led to audit most of the processes and constantly maintaining compliance and security standards at that
Okay.
hospital.
All right. Excellent. Can you walk me through specifically some of the infrastructure integration risk you've seen in the past, or some of the top risks you think are typical for integration of multiple platforms? What are the top risks in your opinion?
I mean, I think the top risk might be based on the cloud itself. Sometimes, when you have various threats coming, I think one of the ones I have dealt with in the past is by trying to make sure that security measures are being implemented in the cloud in the various.
Give me specific examples of the kind of security we're talking about here. Is
So
it
I'm
yeah?
talking about ISO, what's it called? ISO 700, ISO 27001. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So what I need to know specific is, for example, within our environment, when we do integration, some of the big concern we have is one on the list is how is the API fitting within the the source and the target, right? So because if we are integrating with a different application and you are in the cloud, we are thinking of the security of the API. Is the API security well defined? The other thing we are thinking is, even when we're in the cloud, we are thinking about the key rotation, meaning how do we manage the password keys within our infrastructure? We're also checking to make sure that login is enabled in the cloud. All right. So those are things we typically will look for also to make sure, okay, we have a well covered security. Then, of course, encryption. We want to check the encryption within the cloud service provider and our application that is integrating with this cloud service provider. So those are the things we do within our organization for sure. All right. Let me ask you another question real quick, if you don't mind.
You go
So
ahead.
can you tell me a little bit? You mentioned earlier on you manage some security incidents or events to reduce the risk by 25%. Can you
Yes.
be more specific? What are some of the security events you've seen in the past historically?
So in the past, I noticed that when I first started on board, I didn't have major security in place. So I had to reach out to a vendor called Auditor. And
Okay.
that way, yes, I reached out to a vendor called Auditor, and we tried to implement Auditor into our policy to have a stronger, enablement when it comes to logging in and having access to our, should I use the word, work frame. And that
Okay.
came in handy, and it actually reduced so much risks that the company was facing at the time, which is what you just mentioned right now. We had to have those features there, so whereby if you try to log in, you actually have to have created password from Okta to have access to any of our documents or policies or information about the company specifically.
Got it. Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Tell me, what's the reporting structure of your organization typically? I mean, so this is the manager role, right? So, in your past organization, what's been the reporting structure? What is it like? Were you a manager? Were you a senior or lead? What was your role in your previous?
So in my previous role, I was a lead
Okay.
in my role, which is with cybersecurity at UT
Okay.
Southwest. I
Yeah.
had a team of 15 people and I
Oh.
was appointed as a lead to oversee that 15. So on
Okay.
the hierarchy, I have people that were on the project side and on the production side as well, and they both
Okay.
report to me based on the production and also the project side. So I meet up with them every week and we have a meeting based on the various projects and production areas. In that way, when I got those information, I have meetings with the stakeholders in the hospital, trying to, share with them based on the project being assigned to us regarding what's going on in the hospital. And that consists of documentation, implementing it as well, working with QA at the side, the ETO group, the architectural group as well. So
Yeah.
pretty much I was going to have like a project manager, but those were the
Got it.
various taxes that
Okay.
I did as a manager.
Got it.
Yes.
So, how do you, historically, from your experience, how do you manage your team? What's your style of leadership?
So my style of leadership, I always try to hear because we're all on a team, right? So we're all
Yeah.
teammates. So I'm not the perfect one. I'm just there to lead and to make sure that the task being given to us as a team is being executed. So I relate to my teammates as a co-worker basis. So, whatever information they need from me, I provide. And, regularly we have meetings, like team meetings
Yeah.
every 3 times or 4 times a week, just to make sure that all we are asked to do is being done at a timely manner
Yeah.
because our organization is the organization at the time is quite big. So they always want feedback from us all the time. So with my
Got it.
teammates, I always try to make sure that whatever task has been assigned to us, we are up to it. And, if anybody has a hiccup or not pretty much understand the trend, always get back to us. It's either email or whatever attention you could get back to me so we could resolve it as quick as possible. Because as I said, each time they give us a task, we're always given a timeline to make sure it's being pushed into production.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And some of my colleagues just asked a question about firewall. What's your strategy around architecture around firewall, and what firewall vendors have you used in the past?
Firewall, I think we have tried Salesforce in the past. Salesforce is pretty much a good one as well. So those
Okay.
are, yeah, we've used Salesforce, and that's a very good firewall implement we had.
Okay. Within our environment, we use Palo Alto and sometimes and Cisco firewalls too within
And
our
also
environment.
we also use ServiceNow as well too.
Okay.
ServiceNow is a good one as well, which we also use. We
Okay.
actually,
So service now they have a firewall tool.
they do in a way. I mean, in terms of
Okay.
preventing risks, because sometimes we try to use both just to see
Okay.
which one is
Got it.
better.
Okay.
But ServiceNow is also a good one we normally use because sometimes if we have issues, we could also submit tickets immediately, to whoever needs to address those issues at a timely manner as well. So yes.
Got it. What about your experience with data migration in general? Have you worked on migration projects and cleaning up data or data conversion, anything like that?
Yes, I have. I mean, cleanup data is always efficient. It's always important, as I said. Working with the amount of data, sometimes we bring in, not bring in, but sometimes we assign it to vendors that could also help us because of how large the data or the file is.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I say, for example, in GM Financial, we deal with a lot of letters that we send out to
Yeah.
consumers and commercial dealers. So sometimes when we have that data come in, it could be so large because it contains sensitive information from both, the consumer and the commercial dealers. So we try to, send those information because it's in a bulk standpoint. We try to send that information to our vendor, which we use to
Okay.
mail those letters and to make sure they are all encrypted so they cannot be hacked whatsoever.
Got it. What about SIM tools? What are the SIM tools your organization currently use?
Symptoms now, I think we are using, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're using the what's it called, the Agile, as no, I said Agile, the AWS. That's the one we're
Okay.
using.
All right, got it. So AWS SIM solution. Okay. All right, got it. Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, I do have a couple of questions to ask. And now, in this position, what is your main objective for me to become the best manager when it comes to this role? I mean, what are my expectations? What do you expect from me to perform as required in this role?
Within our cultural year is we want our leaders and our managers to replicate themselves into other leaders and make leaders really. So
Okay,
we want our most successful leaders or managers are those that understand, your role is to replicate yourself and create a version of yourself that is equally effective within our business, because that's the only way you can grow and become directors, VP, because you've replicated people to do your role, then you can move forward in general. So that is our expectation. Someone that is a self-starter, that is very intentional about being a people person to mentor people. So that's important for us.
so last question, what is the culture like? Is it I mean, I know we mentioned about working as a team. I just want to understand the culture of the organization as well too.
In simple, in one word for me, it's adaptive.
Okay,
So it's just a ever evolving, changing environment. So you have to be adaptive, because what we did within a few months would be different in another month. So we just have an open mind and we're adaptive.
cool. Thank you so much. That's all the question I have. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Thank you so much. All right. Let's give it up for Mr. Obi. All right. Thank you for, coming through our Lions Den. All right. Let's just get into the details of it. So definitely, you know, you're eloquent, you can speak. For the leadership side, you need to give me more grasp, definitely, because I can easily pieces a lot of things. For example, but the nice thing is that they are fixable. So if you tell me, if I ask you what are the SIM tools you've used, and you tell me, AWS, if I ask you what are and these are easy ones to fix. If I ask you what are firewalls. So at the minimum, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, if we talk, and I'll put a document together to our community so you guys will see it. Firewall, all of us must tell me Palo Alto, you must tell me Cisco, or, call big names that you know that you can get away with, right? If I ask you for SIM2, everybody must tell me Splunk, QRadar, Exabeam. And I'll put a few, those of you in my community, you will see, I'll put some information. So if you're not in our community, I'll send a link so you can join and be part of it. But that's so important, because I will look and say, wait a minute, if you are a manager and you've worked with big companies and you don't have an idea of some of these tools, in my mind, I'm thinking, wait a minute, is this guy for real? So make sure you know those solutions. They are easy to quickly Google and get it going. Okay. The other thing is, when I ask for reporting structure, you were a lead, you had 15 people under you. I think that's a lot. Okay. So keep it a little bit, just say you had 7 people, if you ask my opinion, and it's a more reasonable. If you tell me 15, I would question you, because really, then what the heck is that? From an efficiency and performance level, if you are going more than 10, then the effectiveness of the people manager diminishes really historically. So let's keep it at 7, because even your manager might just have 4 people. So if you are saying you have more than your whole director or VP, the guy is already threatened that, wait a minute, this guy is even running more show than I am. So, so let's keep it 7. Um, Biggest achievement, be ready to talk about your biggest achievement and accomplishment, tie it to business, right? You know, how it impacted business, how it reduced our threat exposure within our organization. So be ready to get into that with me, definitely. Okay. Let's see another one I wrote down. Um, Risk of, okay. Another thing you should prepare for is, somebody could ask you, in general, how do you keep yourself abreast of technology in the past or in historically? So be ready to talk about conferences. You can just say you're part of ISACA or any of this body that, and you're very active in it, that sometimes you even present to different groups, just people like that, right? Then if I ask you, how do you mentor and keep your team motivated, or always throwing, you know, I like your mindset of, okay, it's about people, but sneaking things like you ensure everybody is very engaged. You ensure you make them do lunch and learn. So as we learn things weekly, we have a time we all connect and teach topics to learn from each other, right? So you're kind of building the culture of being inclusive and learning within your organization in general. So you can sneak that in because those are rare things out there today. Let me see what else. All right, cool. I think those were the things. Let me see if anyone has comment for Obi so that we can give him those comments. All right. Somebody said your management style could be collaborative, persuasive, democratic style. Yeah, I mean, I like you have the presence, so you can leverage it. Let's see. Somebody says, okay, details on data migration in terms of backup plan. Okay, all right, that's another one. Hopefully, nobody's going to ask you those kind of detailed questions to tell them what your plan is in backup and data migration. But ladies and gentlemen, data migration is just saying we have a data. Let's say I'm using healthcare as an example. We are moving to a new solution in healthcare. If I'm migrating, I'm making sure security around my migration is there. I'm making sure I'm cleaning the files that I'm migrating to a new system. I'm making sure there's the proper encryption. I'm making sure the new tool we are migrating to, the it has the ability to log and track within that solution, right? So there are so many components. You know what? I'll add that as something I'll share in our community. Data migration step. I'll share that with our community also. That'll be a good one to share. All right, cool. All right, cool. Thank you so much, Obi, and amazing job, brother. So go shine. I wish you all the best. But before we go, as always, we're gonna don't worry, you don't have to hide now that I want to grade you. You're hiding. I'll still grade you anyway. All right, let's see, Mr. Obi. You're still gonna get your grade, Mr. Obi. All right. All right. So let's give Obi. All right. So Obi, as always, don't it's not a reflection of us, it's just to make us very conservative and make sure that I'm still gonna go with my four, Obi. So let's give it up, Obi. You're gonna get a four in the Lions Den. Yeah, I like somebody said data masking when we do migration. That's a good point also. Yeah. So again, we challenge you, just put some extra layer. All right. And please, everybody on the call, don't hide from participating in our program like this. It's this is a safe space, right? This is family, this is us within our Skillweed community. So we just want to be a little bit, we don't want to be too nice so that outsiders would not be the one to chew us. So we want to chew ourselves here, and ultimately remember the goal is to get an offer. So Eno, I'm looking for you. Adekunle Bees, all of you all, Isi, Alfred, don't worry. I'll be nice. But it gives us more confidence to keep doing this together. Now there's one more person, and I think he's stuck at work. But what I'll do still is I'll still talk about his role, and hopefully he can figure that out himself. Then, but let's talk about it. This is a senior IT auditor role. The role, anytime I see the word IT auditor, let's keep it simple. You are going to be testing most of the time. I've not seen any exception to that. If you're an IT auditor, your role will be testing. So the key controls in IT audit, logical access, change management, IT operations, those will be what I would expect. In this role, it also stated robotic process automation knowledge, RPA. And that was why I sent you all. If you notice, some of you that saw the mail or the text, I sent you all a document to show you some test steps. Because what this is all about is I can automate. This is even before all this AI, right? It's even crazier now. I can automate the way certain things are done. For example, if every day we come here we do a live session maybe twice or three times a week, we might do it twice or three times to help our community this week. I don't know yet, but the minimum two times a week, right? I might set up RPA, a system whereby it will just automatically schedule a call, automatically just post it to YouTube live, automatically just begins the call when it's time without me doing anything. That's a big deal, right? So easy. That is really a robotic process automation. I've automated a process. That's all it is, really. And there are so many tools out there today. So sometimes people want to test that tool, that process to see if it's working or if it's exposing us to additional risk. So that was why I sent that document to you to take a look at. Okay. And in this case, the key thing about tell me about yourself here would be talk about your IT audit experience, talk about the knowledge of the RPA you've done, because I know it was in the job description as a big need for them. So we have to talk about it a little bit. So if you ever have a job that talks about RPA, use the document I sent to you. That is the answers, really. That's the guide, your checklist in case they talk about RPA. If it's not in the job description, they will likely not ask. But for this gentleman, I know they will likely ask because it was well spelled out in that role. Okay, that was why I had to put something together for to support that. Then the question for him, it's an IT audit role. Remember, IT audit, logical access, change management, IT operation. Just be ready to talk about that in logical access. Remember, we're going to talk about new user testing, terminated user testing, transfer user testing, general system parameters. For change management, we're going to talk about changes to application, database, network, operating system to make sure the changes are authorized, approved, tested, proper segregation of duties, and the changes are monitored. For IT operations, we're talking about job scheduling and batch processing, backup and recovery, and problem and incident management. Those are the key controls I would focus on in general if you are talking about the IT audit side of things. So, since it's not here, but I just wanted to just sneak in and talk about it briefly also. All right. And the final thing for some of us that have buzzed me about the upcoming GRC class, yes, it is kicking up this Saturday. And, please spread the word to other folks also. Let them be part of our community. Together, we can do much, much more. Let's impact one person at a time. And that's all we got today. Thanks for joining us midweek. We'll try and do maybe two more this week so that we can have some of our folks that have interviews. If you have interview and you're part of our community, as always, ping me, ping us, and let's get you scheduled. Typically, we like 48 hours, but sometimes we sneak in our guys that have urgent interview. We can't guarantee it, but we'll try. But I wish you all the best. Go shine. Talk, everybody. Take care. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Obi. Thank you, Tommy. Good luck on your interview. Good luck, good luck, good luck. And everybody else, enjoy your day. Enjoy your working day today. Thank you, everybody.